How's everyone doing tonight? That was pretty good. How's everyone doing tonight? Okay, we're in the Downtown Project. Come on now. First of all, I want to talk about the Downtown Project. This has been literally blowing my mind, and it's unbelievable what Tony and Catalyst and Amanda and all these amazing employees that I've met have done. I travel the country and I go to schools and areas that need a lot of help. And we are right now sitting in a city that is the #1 worst school system in America. And that's not something to be proud of. And frankly, this city really needed a Tony to come. And I just want to give Tony and the Downtown Project and Amanda a huge round of applause. So let's do that. I truly hope that people are listening and seeing what is happening here, because we need to replicate this model in cities across America. Detroit desperately needs this, right? Ohio, every major city in Ohio desperately needs this. St. Louis desperately needs this. Houston, Dallas. I mean, we're in a time right now where the economy is just slaughtering communities, and factories have left 20 or 30 years ago, and there's literally just no jobs. And so the real solution to that is to bring jobs to these areas. And yet people are slow to figure that out. And I just want to commend the people here for really taking a step in that, because there are so many new jobs coming to this area. And that is really how we're going to fix this problem. Because right now in America, we have all these cities, and they have the same story. There was a major textile factory or a plant that did something, and it closed down, and there were no jobs left, and nothing has replaced that. And so that's why Detroit is the way it is, and that's why many cities are. So I just want to talk. I've been so inspired by what I've seen, and I had to start my speech on that. So I'm Jason Pollock, and I probably have more energy than most people that you know, and I'm one of the most positive people that you know. I think that staying positive is like a muscle. You have to work on it. It's like doing bench presses. You know, it's like doing lifting, that positive muscle. And it's a day-to-day, minute-to-minute thing. When you fall down into that negative space, try to kick yourself back up. You know, I like the phrase, fake it till you make it, you know, because it's important to think that that's going to happen. The biggest ideas that have ever happened in the world happened because some crazy person thought that something that nobody thought was possible. And they didn't give up on that, and they just kept doing that. So what I think is possible is that we can fix the dropout crisis in this country and around the world. And we can bring education to areas that don't have it, and we can help kids stay in school. And so that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I want to talk a little bit about how I got to this. The thing that changed my life was that in 2003, Michael Moore hired me to be his executive assistant, his chief of staff, basically. I was 23 years old, and actually I was 21 years old, and I was like, what is happening right now? I loved Michael so much. I loved Roger and me. I loved Bowling for Columbine. He gave that amazing Oscar speech in 2003, right after we went to war in Iraq, and I was sitting in front of him a month later, interviewing, and I was shaken. And we connected immediately. Michael, for some reason, I don't know, fate or whatever, and we became really good friends, and he's a good friend to this day. And I learned so much from him. And what I learned the most from him in retrospect is the power of a mentor, a real mentor. Those of you who were here last night, I heard that as a theme across the speeches, the power of what having a real mentor is. I see all these people in Hollywood who get a lot of fame and a lot of success, but because they didn't have that mentor, they don't have that track. And so we see them fall off the track because there's nobody to have taught them what to do with this power and success. So Michael taught me a lot of things. He taught me what hard work is. I think that a lot of people don't understand what hard work is. We went to 60 cities in 30 days to get the vote out in 2004. That's hard work. And he moved around and did all that. And he organized it and he planned it. And being part of that and watching a man walk into a basketball stadium of 25,000 people just to listen to him talk and make jokes about politics was a life-changing experience for me to get to see that from the bird's eye view. He filled the Space Needle in Seattle just to listen to the guy talk about politics and make jokes. And that was just an unbelievable experience for me. And I really learned what hard work was. And as I go out and I've worked at other companies, and I've done a lot of consulting, I think that even some of the most famous people, some of the most successful people in the world, they don't really understand what hard work is. Having said that, a lot of my kids that are in poverty and a lot of my families that are dealing with poverty, they all know what hard work is. They all know what it is, and they have to do it every single day. So the other thing that Michael really taught me was that there's not really a point in making art unless the art is actually purposeful, you know? We need to make things that have impact. And now that's a very common thing. But in 2003, it wasn't as cool for celebrities and brands to have that social good arm of their company. It wasn't necessity. But now it's kind of cool, it's part of your brand, and I think some people do it because they know it's good for them, but some people do it with the full passion of their heart and mind. And I think what's happening in the Downtown Project is obviously something's happening with the full passion of heart and mind. You know, I live in Hollywood, and there's a lot of content made for very little meaning, and I live a very lonely existence out there in some ways, but because I'm out there, I'm able to kind of attract really powerful people to jump onto good things. So Undroppable basically is a film. I'm directing and producing a film, and I'm founding and CEO of a startup. And we're trying to lower dropout rates, but we're trying to do it in a unique way. I was a social media consultant for many years. I was Ashton Kutcher's social media guy. I helped Oprah Winfrey's company transfer to own. I helped them with that last crazy show in Chicago where she had all those people. It was unbelievable. And so I saw how social was really changing the world, and these tools are so powerful. And I wanted to try to use these social tools in a way that I hadn't really seen them in using to try to lower the dropout rate. And basically, so I spoke at the Aspen Ideas Festival in 2011 on a panel with Mayor Cory Booker, who's in the Senate race right now. I think he's going to have a big fall. And we talked about civic engagement and social media. And you know, being around all these people, I had been pitching my education project for about a year and a half. It wasn't getting off the ground, and I really saw how everyone there was changing models and breaking down systems, and I realized I was pitching this education social media campaign and this movie at the same time, and I kind of realized I was ahead of myself. So I coined the phrase social media documentary, and I went back to Hollywood and I started telling everyone I'm going to make the first social media documentary, and that caught people's attention. They like branding. And what that means is that I've been running a social media campaign at the same time as I've been in production, and this has really never happened before, which is crazy, but it's true. Because of these social tools, we can do things now that really have never been done before. So essentially, like the Bully Project, for example, that's a great example of a really successful online campaign. But what they did was they made Bully, they got it into Sundance, they sold it to Harvey, and then 12 cooks in the kitchen tried to figure out what the movement was. So what I've been doing is I didn't want to wait for that. I wanted to build my movement now, and I didn't want it to just be a movement. You know, so many of these film movements are like, join the movement, and then it's like, sign a petition or give us your mailing list email. And so I really wanted to make a tech model that was a nonprofit. And VCs are having a very hard time to understand that. Wait, you don't want, you're a tech company, but you don't want to incorporate profit. And I keep saying, yes, that's a good thing. You should be thinking about this stuff. So I wanted to make a nonprofit tech company and scale that at the same time as I was making the film. And as the tech company scales, the things that happen there we put in the film. So the film is wrapped around the social media campaign, and the social media campaign is adding narrative to the film. So for example, we launched our website on June 21st, 2012. It launched with 72 student videos and 6 schools. And so Time Magazine called me a week later, and they're like, this is unbelievable. We want to put you in our Olympic double edition. And a week later, they had this full page on Undroppable. A week after that, the woman who wrote the article called me and told me that the Secretary of Education called her and asked her for my cell phone number. And I was like, phew. So a few days later, I got a call from Arnie Duncan, who invited me to DC, and I met with him. And I said, you know, I'm so happy that you like this. I really made it to support what you're doing, but what is it about this that you like so much? And he said that he thought I put a human face on the problem, and it was a nonpartisan campaign. And that was great to hear, because that's what I was trying to explain to people for a while. So what I do is I go into the schools, and we interview a lot of kids, and I pick some of the best kids that I think are really amazing based on what they're going through in their lives and that they're getting through it. I purposely pick kids that are not the star athlete or not the most popular kid. And I watch how these kids get so much confidence from me picking them and profiling them and getting their videos out there. We get them on the local news. We get them on the radio. I use all these social media skills that I've been using for celebrities and brands and chips and soda. And I use them to help kids get their stories out there and schools, you know, mend their images. And that makes me feel good. Okay, so with that, I'm going to introduce you to Cynthia, and we're going to play a little video.
When I was 7 years old, we were all sleeping, and it was about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we heard people knocking on the door really hard, and they just kept saying, "Police, police," and they knocked on our door, and there was just a group of people that just went in. They had everybody go to the living room, and my dad was downstairs. It was about 3 people that had him and putting him in handcuffs. He was laying on the kitchen floor, and we were looking at him. My mind just went blank. I started like crying. I didn't know why things were happening this way. Going into high school, I would push myself, try to go beyond and try and get my grades up and everything, but sometimes I would fall back because my mom, we would like move every month or every week here and there, and she'd have fights with her boyfriend, and she'd get beat sometimes, and we'd have to like make reports to the police. It's not like I could step in there or anything, so I'd always be like scared.
It's really hard to see your mom get hurt, right? Was that the hardest part?
Yeah.
It's okay. You're going through so much, but you're succeeding. How do you find strength to do that?
I try and I want kind of better for myself, and now like getting pregnant, I got pregnant at 16, and then I turned 17. And I wanted better for my daughter. So, so I pushed myself. My name is Cynthia Gallardo, and I am Undroppable.
You know, I really have started to see myself as like a shepherd and a conduit for these kids, right? Because they are not being heard right now in the media. We don't get to hear Cynthia's, and we need to hear Cynthia's. And I truly believe, in a very human, nonpartisan way, if more Cynthia's are sharing their stories and making Undroppable videos, this is how we're going to get better teachers. This is how we're going to get parents more interested, because it's a human approach. It's a peer-to-peer approach. And being in these schools, I see the world as very white and black now. The Trayvon Martin verdict really upset me, and all my kids were very, very upset about it. And when I talked about it with my white friends, not many of them understood. And when I talked about it with my black friends, they were all just as upset as me. And I think the reason my white friends aren't as upset about it is because they don't have to deal with this in their face. You know, after meeting these kids and getting to become friends with them and seeing them as human beings, I have it right up here. And I think more people need it right up here, but they don't have that. So I think these Undroppable videos are kind of a nice little mild way of getting people to pay attention a little bit more, getting politicians to pay attention a little bit more. Undroppable is not about attacking politicians on political issues. Undroppable is about getting politicians to actually mean what they say when they're running for office and they say education is important to them, and then they get elected and they don't do anything. I'm going to play another video because I'm running long.
Get to school around maybe 8, start class 8:10, typical day in class. Going to college to play sports, so I work out. After working out, go home, maybe watch the TV, play some video games. And later on in the night, since I want to go into physics, study a lot of physics concepts, mathematics. I'm going to Pomona, the top #5 liberal arts college in America, for free. kids don't understand that if you do what you need to do in the classroom, people will pay for you to go to school. I live with my mother, my little sister, and my grandfather. My dad, he stays not too far from here, maybe about a mile or two away. I see him almost every weekend. He fought in the war, so for about a good 3 years, he wasn't in my life. Not having my dad around, I kind of had to figure out how to do things on my own. 'Cause it was some things that my mom just couldn't teach me. But being a child of a soldier, like, it gave me a lot of respect for my country, because I'm like, that's my dad over there fighting. It made me more patriotic, because I'm like, if my dad is willing to fight for this country, then there must be a reason. And there are many reasons that I enjoy living in this country. On my block, I've seen 3 people get shot on my block alone. One of my best friends got killed maybe 15 yards away from my house. My cousin got shot in the leg maybe about 30 yards away from my house. And a guy was actually shot in the head 2 steps away from my front gate. And just growing up in this community, I mean, you see it every summer. You hear about it almost every other day. It's sort of the way of life around here for some people. And that actually made me want to leave this neighborhood. That's what propelled me to push myself to get into college. What I'm going to talk about as the valedictorian is actually success and what you have to do to be successful. It's pretty much more of a pep talk, even though people may not see it that way, but everybody has an equal chance to go to a school of their dreams. If you work hard enough at it, you can do it. And I want education. When you think about education, it's not to prove to anybody else that, oh, look what I know, but it's to prove to yourself that I can do this.
Okay, so that's Jarice. He has a $240,000 scholarship to Pomona. He saw his best friend got killed outside of his house. Anybody in here seen a murder? Anybody? Anybody? Got 1, 2, 3? That's really messed up. I've never seen a murder. Before I started this, no one had seen murder. When I go to schools in West Chicago, I ask who's seen a murder. Almost all the kids' hands raised up. I do not want to live in a country like that anymore. And I think the best way that we're going to fix it is by coming together, sharing our stories, and getting to know one another, because that way we put a human face on the problem. So I'm just going to end with what I do in all my stage shows with my kids. I went on a speaking tour in the fall. I'm going to say I am. I want you guys to say undroppable. I want you to hear how good it is to say that, all right? And we're going to make I am undroppable like the It Gets Better for Education. You're going to see huge celebrities making these videos soon. And I really think that I am undroppable can be the It Gets Better for staying in school and getting to graduation day. I am undroppable. I am undroppable. We are undroppable. I'm out.